remember that there are many teachers, and some of these master teachers that will be part of the teachers in our community. They'll be teaching us about biomimicry. And biomimicry is such a critical component. If you look at science and art and what we're bringing into our lives every day, most people are not even aware of the fact that we're constantly imitating nature. It's called biomimicry. And when we start looking into how nature works, how petals work, how everything around us works, we start implementing that in our lives. That is a critical component. That's what puts us in harmony with nature around us. But it goes a lot further. As you know from our research into the ancient civilizations and the thing of sound and resonance, once we start looking at biomimicry, we start looking at levitation devices. When we start looking at the wings of bugs that fly, not by flapping their wings, but because they fly, because the story of the dragonfly. Dragonflies fly by vibrating their wings that create a sound frequency in the tubes. They're not arteries, they're hollow tubes that make up the wings. And at the intersection of all these tubes, there are tiny little cones. These cones then take the sound in those hollow tubes and they turn them into hypersound, create vortex fields that go out of those, create distortion gravity fields around the vortex fields. And this is why the dragonfly flies around in its own gravity-free zone and goes wherever it wants to go without flapping its wings. So this is called biomimicry, understanding and studying nature and then being able to bring that into our education. I mean, just that little thing that I've shared with you. Can you imagine how much excitement this is going to create among young children, knowing that we're going to try and imitate nature, and we're going to try and imitate how dragonflies or bumblebees fly by creating gravity-free zones around themselves? This frees up the minds of young children so that they never, ever experience that horrible mentality of keeping them in a box and that's not possible, that's not possible. Everything is possible. And this is how our education system needs to be. I think it's dangerous to say that the key component is this or that. Everything is connected. Again, so we got to go back to reminding ourselves how everything is connected. Everything, it's a fractal reality we live in. Infinite fractals of the same body of knowledge and information. Some of these fractals give us more information in the sciences, some give us more information in this and so forth. So we need to remember that all the aspects of our community are connected. Again, they're like the cells in our body. The cells in our body that become the liver, specialized cells that all work together for the harmony of the whole body, the best outcome for the community of cells in the body. They don't compete against each other, they work together. So, food, water, shelter, healthcare, education, arts and culture, all these things, these are some of the key components and key cornerstones of a multifaceted foundation of our community. Not one of those can be highlighted as being the most important. And this is really important to keep coming back to. Because if you don't create the right education system for the children of this community, what's going to happen to them? They're going to become like us 20 years from now and wonder what the hell happened. That's not going to happen, because by the time they turn to be 16 or so, they're going to already be participating in the community projects, learning from that, becoming very well adapted and adjusted individuals, understanding and knowing so much about life, the world and the universe that they don't need to read any books. They get all their knowledge by interacting and exchanging information with other human beings, with other people in their communities, knowing and learning things from talking and experiencing and doing, and not by reading from a book. So the education system is a critical component that becomes an organic, natural integration into the community that we are creating. You can't force it. It will automatically come out of the community based on the needs of the community. I certainly don't want to be the person that puts restriction on any of this. So I want to leave it as open for interpretation and implementation as possible. At this stage, I cannot predict how this philosophy will manifest itself in big cities. in these giant metropolitan areas where people live in overcrowded situations, there's no space. And yet, there are great examples how people have taken high-rise buildings and cities and sidewalks in cities and turned them into little gardens of Eden. Just shows you when the human spirit is set free to be as creative as we can and to do what we are actually supposed to do by being expressions of the great creation ourselves, to create and to express our creativity. People do amazing things. We perform miracles on a daily basis, but we're often not even aware of it. So how this will manifest in cities, I don't know. I'm suggesting that it's going to probably be, I might be completely wrong, but it's probably going to be easier to implement this in small towns and villages, where you got a community of 1,000 people or 2,000 people that are already much closely knitted than people in cities and suburbs that are divided by walls and a little bit more fear. In small towns, people know each other much better. There's a much closer community spirit there already. And all it's going to take is to get this message to those people and say, we can turn our town or our village into a paradise and into a little town of absolute abundance and a utopian environment by starting to collaborate and cooperate on these community projects. And let's put our own energy device into the river. Let's use existing tried and tested technology. Let's put a hydro turbine into the river, provide all of us with electricity, so we all get electricity equally, so they're not the haves and the have-nots. And based on that equal distribution of free electricity, uncapped electricity, we can start performing miracles. And if you're going to get that free electricity, then contribute your 3 hours a week. In the small towns where people are not always that busy, people like, what am I going to do? I need to find something to do. So you're going to find something to do, and ultimately what your passion or your hobby is, whether it's sculpting or making cheese, that's going to benefit your community, because you're going to be making so much cheese, because you're not going to just make cheese for yourself. You're going to make a lot of cheese, and that's going to benefit everyone in your town, or breeding horses, or sculpting beautiful statues that then get spread and distributed through your community. So this is the thing that I suggest is most likely going to happen easier in a small town or a village, because it's a lot easier to unite the people. Quicker, it's quicker to unite them. So obviously homeschooling has got certain guidelines and parameters. The beauty about it is that we can use it for our benefit. We can use the system that they've created for us to still try and enslave us. We can use that for the benefit of humanity and living, breathing human beings, not corporations. But not every parent is made out to be a teacher. Not every parent knows how to teach their children. They don't have the time because they work 9 to 5. They're slaves to the system. They want to take their kids out of school, but they don't have a way to do that. So the way you overcome that is collectively create a homeschooling system. Get a number of, 20 or 30 people to send their 1 or 2 children to a homeschool. Suddenly you got 40, 50 kids in one homeschool. Now you got the foundation of a whole new schooling and education system, where you then get teachers who love to teach, but they also understand the con and the fraud of the current education system. They can then participate in this new homeschooling platform and be rewarded for it, because you're going to be paying towards the kitty to pay the teachers, and you're probably going to pay them quite well, because based on what I understand, private schools are not cheap. And if your kids are in private schools or even in government schools, it still costs money. So once you start pooling your money to pay a few good teachers who choose to be involved in this new open mind education system where we teach real skills for life, and then start implementing the Steiner philosophy in there, start implementing all the other amazing teaching modalities that you'll find all over the world. There's that incredible example of that Russian school, that there were no teachers at all. The kids teach themselves. And what they find, that those children finish high school, 5 years of high school, in 2 or 3 years without any teachers. They just get smarter because there are no restrictions and the stress. And these kids are open. They do arts and martial arts and cultural events. They learned how to build, how to collect wood, how to grow trees, and all these things. Obviously, that's specific for that area in Russia. So there are so many beautiful examples and modalities that we can bring into this new foundation of an Ubuntu contributionism educational philosophy, and let it just grow and grow and get better every day, every week, every year.